Members of the City Council, please attend the call meeting of the City Council to be held in the 6th floor conference room, 801 Crawford Street, 5 p.m., Monday, May 21st, 2012, for the purpose of a public work session. In addition, you may consider a motion to go into closed meeting by order of the mayor. Mr. Cherry.
Here.
Mr. Edmonds. Mr. Heretic. Mr. Moody. Ms. Randall. Mr. Whitehurst.
Here.
Mayor Wright.
Here. Okay. All right, thank you. General.
Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose for our being here tonight is to request from our City Council directions concerning the Finance Committee. We've been going, I know I've been with the Finance Committee now not quite a year, and we have been operating throughout that time on ground rules. We have discussed the ground rules with the chairman of the committee, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, and we've had quite a bit of dialogue concerning those. But recently, we've determined that the ground rules basically are just too general, and they're not very definitive in terms of us knowing exactly what the council would like for this committee to do. So tonight, we will be discussing essentially 2 points, and they're essentially 2 questions. Those questions are, what is the role of the Finance Committee? And of course, this committee is made up of city members, the city treasurer, the commissioner of revenue, the city assessor, the city manager, the CFO, the contracting officer, and also the assistant superintendent of schools. Of course, the chairman is the vice mayor, and we also have Councilman Cherry. From the citizen side, we have Mr. Pete Coppell, James Ellis, James Overton, Chris Hurst, who could not be with us tonight, and Bernard Rotish, who has not been with us now for some time, and yours truly. So the questions that we have for the council tonight is, what is the role of the Finance Committee? And Pete Coppell is going to expand on that. And then the second point is, should the Finance Committee be a part of the budget process? And James Ellis will expound on that. We firmly believe, though, that in order for this committee to make any meaningful contribution to the financial management of our city, we should be permitted to participate in those processes. In view of the many recent discussions and meetings concerning surpluses, budget audits, auditors, one-time money, equitable distribution, and standard budget processes, we strongly believe that if the Finance Committee were a part of this budget process of our city, we could greatly assist by rendering workable and lawful solutions. So at this time, I'd like for Pete to take on the point of what is the role of the Finance Committee.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, my thought is, do y'all, the City Council, see any value in having this committee? If you do, that's fine. If you don't, we need to all go home. None of us have ever been given a job description or a statement that says what our responsibilities are, where we're going to get information, what are we going to do with it, and things of that nature. So if you do think that having the City Finance Committee is a worthwhile asset to have, we believe that we need to figure out a way of getting information from the council about issues for which you'd like to have us take a look and make recommendations to you that relate to, the city's financial business. And then on the other hand, how we can efficiently and adequately get our recommendations back to you. We've had a couple of instances where we've taken votes on different substantive issues, and I'm not sure that the whole substance of the vote has gotten back to y'all. I don't know. And that's really the question that we see need to be answered. Do you want us? And if you do, let's figure out what's our job, what do you want to do, and how are we to know what do you want us to look at. We all kind of think, I believe, that we could be of assistance to the council with respect to the budget. We all think that we can do a lot of good for y'all and help with other issues like bonds and things like that, and the city's financial status. But the way things are right now, it doesn't seem to work. I mean, in our typical meeting, we get several folks that as I understand, their financial records are ongoing, so on a given day, they can pluck into their computer and tell you everything that they got as of that day. And so when our meetings come up, the treasurer, the commissioner of the revenue, the controller, and a couple of other folks go in there and they get their reports, and we get this nice little book. We get statement from the treasurer, statement from the commissioner of the revenue, and poor Ms. Reed gives us, I think, the biggest pile of all, and everybody gets 5 minutes to report on and talk about them, and then if there's some other issue of substance that we want to talk about, we do. In the time I've been on the committee, and I've been here since day one, we figured out this afternoon we've had 5 issues to talk about. Whether we should continue giving $500,000 a year to the Sports Hall of Fame. Are we going to restructure poor old Andy Giles' contract with the city to run the golf course? We're going to recommend funding the school's capital improvement plan. Should the city have an auditor? And should the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue get some additional employees? We've made recommendations on those things. So far as I've heard, Frankie's got a couple of new people, and I guess Jimmy does too. I'm not sure that anything else that we've taken a position on or sent along has made it to y'all. But we just think that if we're going to continue as a viable entity, we need to have the city's support, council's support, in a way of getting to us, telling us, we want you to do this, and here's the stuff to do it with. That'd be fantastic. That's what we're looking for. Anything else? I think that's it.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay.
Jim?
Let me pass this out to you, and then we'll talk about it.
Hey, Mayor, can I correct something?
Yeah. Sir.
I guess up until now, hold on.
Before you go, Jim, I want to correct something that
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Coppell said.
Yes, sir.
Everything that the committee voted on was brought back to the council, either by the vice mayor or myself. Whether the council took action on it is maybe your beef, but to say that it didn't reach council, I think is I know is an incorrect statement.
Well, we didn't get any feedback from the council one way or the other.
Okay, but you said it didn't reach council, so I don't correct that. It reached council. Council might not have taken an action on it, but to say it didn't get here is not a correct statement.
Okay.
All right, just want to get that clear.
Go ahead, Jim.
Probably what you've gotten from us, I guess, up until now is a little bit of sense of frustration. We feel that we can be more of a management tool or more of use to the council, and we would like to do so. We're lucky, we're fortunate in that we get briefings from the staff, monthly briefings. They go over various parameters as it relates to the budget, and we have that's financial condition, financial status, contracts, and we have an opportunity to hear that and ask any questions that might be generated in our minds, and they do a good job in answering them. But I guess what we would like to do, what I've just passed out, is what we've tried to come up with is something more like a mission statement, if you will, or what I've put in front of you is like a resolution, if you will. If we could just have you guys maybe take a look at this, what we would really like to do is ensure that we know what it is that you want us to do so we can do the best job possible for you. We feel that we can be a valuable asset to you. So what we really want to do is formulate a closer working relationship with you. So that's basically what this verbiage for a resolution is designed to do. So basically what we're envisioning is that the City Council and the Finance Committee shall work together jointly and collectively to review the proposed city budget. Again, we feel like the city budget is an area that we can really be of help to you on. And as we get these briefings on a monthly basis, maybe something else can come up. We can feed that to you as well. But to ensure that that this does happen, we've highlighted four, for lack of a better term, called action categories, if you will. Things that we would like to suggest that occur so that we can be sure we're all on the same wavelength. The first one is when the new budget year begins, we would like to see the City Council and the Finance Committee get together and be provided a briefing on changes to the budget process for their ensuing year. The brief could include, as a minimum, how each department determines its respective budget requests. What we're envisioning here is something, if you will, like a retreat, something so that the department heads could come together with the council present, with the finance committee present, tell us how it is they do what they do. So we'll all be on the same wavelength and know, so we'll be speaking the same terminology, if you will. But give you guys and us as well an opportunity to ask questions of the staff who is in the process of preparing the budget and who has to work with it. But just kind of get a little data dump to us to let us know what's going on in that area. The next actual area we see is that the City Council and the Finance Committee will work together to be provided quarterly briefings on budget execution during the budget year underway. The briefing will include such items as how the program is being monitored, how the budget is being executed. In other words, any trends, any comparisons of plans to actual, reasons for any anomalies, and whether or not we expect this will, come out fine by the end of the year, or whether it would create a budget surplus or a deficit. And as we got to talking about this, someone spoke up and said that this used to be done. So, if that's the case, we'd like to suggest that we reinstitute it. What we're talking about is just like a little quarterly get-together, this time with Finance Committee and the Council, where we bring the various city departments in, let us know together how the budget is generating. Are they coming up with surpluses, deficits? Are there problems? Things that we should know about. The adequate stewardship, we should know what's going on, and I think that's a good way to do so. The third area that we're talking about is the City Council and the Finance Committee will each year jointly and collectively review the city manager's proposed budget. And what we're talking about here is sitting down at the table with you folks when you review the budget. Like I say, we do get the monthly meetings from the staff, and we may have heard something, be aware of something. I'm not suggesting here that we would vote on the budget. I'm not suggesting that we would try to take anything over and say this should be the policy. What I'm suggesting to you is if anything that we're aware of, as a matter of our having monthly briefings and from quarterly briefings or whatever, anything that we could recommend to y'all, any suggestions that we could make on ways that maybe the budget, you could pull a little money from here and put a little money over there. We know it's a difficult process. You guys have to sit down and determine what expenses you're going to raise, how much taxes should go up. Maybe there's some money we could take from one pot and put it in another pot or something to kind of minimize these big hills we have to climb at the end of the year. The last area that we see is we think that the financial consultant, that I guess it's Davenport, that comes and talks to the council and lets the council know about what the financial condition of the city is and what's coming down the road. If we could be present at that, so that, or any reports that you get, so that we would be on the same wavelength that you guys are on. We just feel like that if we could come up to speed quickly with the knowledge that you folks have and with the extra look on a monthly basis, maybe we can contribute when it comes to budget time from the standpoint of maybe making some suggestions. And this kind of basically is the process that we see that Mike could kind of formalize that. So we'd just like to leave it with you in the form of a resolution, if you will. Love to see you adopt it, but if not tonight, maybe you could talk about it and maybe in the future consider taking some action on it.
Yeah, we clearly need to talk about it, but thank you. Give me some idea of a suggestion or something you could help us with on the budget.
Well, we would have to kind of sit down and find out where the items are that we can make recommendations. In other words, the education thing came as a surprise to us as well this time. But I mean, I guess I'm saying that if we could have gotten some knowledge of that earlier, we could have tuned you into that, and maybe you could have seen something coming down the road and make some other changes. So I'm not saying as of right now we know of anything in particular, but down the road, if we know something as a result of us sitting down with the staff on a monthly basis, I think that would help us input that information to you.
Okay. Yeah, item B here, you talk about a quarterly briefing. What type of report are you getting from the finance department, from the city, as well as the school each month, if it's not something as to how we're performing to budget, where we are, cash on hand, things that you're not getting that information now?
I think that we're getting the information, but I think that perhaps if it were rolled up on a quarterly basis where we could find out, is it going to generate overall a surplus or is it going to generate a deficit? I think that we see statistics, but I don't know that we see a trend. Maybe a trend may be something that would be better to ask them to put together. We hate to ask them to generate something specifically for us. We take information out of the budget reports that they already pulled together, and that's what they present to us, and then we ask any questions that might be generated as a result. I don't think we've asked for anything to be presented.
Mr. Mayor, I'll give you this after the meeting. This is what we get every month, and they're generally this month and where we are in the year and where we were last year, I think. So we got a decent idea of it.
But that doesn't include schools.
No, we don't get anything from
Yeah,
schools.
but you mentioned you have the school assistant superintendent of finance there. What is he presenting to you?
No.
Nothing?
Well, right now he's in the hospital with leukemia.
I understand all that, but I'm talking about what's been up to this point.
The capital improvement program is the last thing that.
So you don't get any type of monthly, here's where we are, performance to budget, none of that?
No.
Okay, so you don't get that from the city or from the schools?
Never have.
Okay.
Well,
So what is the report that you get from the city?
You'll be able to see it. Take a look at this.
Okay, all right.
It's a on that day. They'll go into their computer. Whatever it says, it's what goes on the sheet.
It is a monthly summary
and
from
we
the city.
and we get it
from the city it is.
on the third Thursday of every month.
Summary.
And you'll see it.
Okay. Mr. Overton, anything?
No, the speakers represented our position well. The only thing I would say respectfully, Mr. Coppell, that I agree with Councilman Cherry that I know the information probably gets back to you all. It's just that we're looking for feedback when you get that information.
We can't tell what's happened to it because we don't hear back.
Okay. Yeah, Ms. Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. I just heard something, a summary, a financial summary that you get how often?
Every month.
One every month.
Once a month.
I hate to enlighten you, but City Council doesn't get that.
Well, we were told you did. You got exactly
told
the
you
same
did.
thing you did.
And we don't get that.
We were
You
told
got what we got.
And in fact, I would like to, speaking as a council member, I would like to get a copy of that.
You don't get it.
You get one?
General?
I know you get one. You're on the Finance Committee.
Mayor, I think the bottom line for us guys here, the price is right. You know, we are ready, willing, and able to do a job. We just want someone to define for us what it is you want us to do,
Understand.
and we'll do it.
Understand. Gotcha. Loud and clear. Well, let me ask you, the reports you're getting from the Commissioner of Revenue, Treasurer, is that beneficial at all? What are they giving you? They're dumping whatever they got as of that day as well, or?
It's been beneficial in terms of us assisting them. The critical problem that Jimmy Williams has put forth and Frankie, that we need additional people to help us collect. So we have recommended strongly to the Vice Mayor that you take this back to the council and let them know that we stand behind the Treasurer and the Commissioner of Revenue expanding their staff so that they can collect these monies. And we were happy to learn at the last meeting that this had taken place.
Okay. We're working in that direction, but what are they giving you now and up to this point for the last couple of years that either gives you some idea of what they're doing or not? I mean, we can all use committees to say I need more people, but what does he give you? And when you leave monthly, do you take away from the Commissioner of Revenue or the Treasurer? Is there any takeaway? No, sir, I'm asking them. I'll get with you. What are you getting out of that?
Well, from my point of view, we understand basically what their needs are. We understand when they've been successful. So basically, I believe, from my point of view, the information that Jimmy has provided and Frankie has provided has been useful in terms of letting me know where they stand, what the problems are, and how close they are to solutions to these problems.
You all agree with that?
Sure, but that doesn't give us direction on what you want, where we got to go. And I perceive that as being our principal problem.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for meeting with us tonight. And I tell you, it's a sense of frustration, but I think it's a positive focus because obviously your finance advisors made a recommendation to have a finance committee. Prior to this, there was another body called a Municipal Finance Commission, and they were in a direction some of our members served on that. And we meet on a regular basis. I can tell you two components real quickly. We provide a monthly statement to the Finance Department, and we have a wonderful working relationship with the administration and with the Finance Department. So how that's translated back to you, I'm not sure. But we produce the same type of reports to the Finance Committee that we do to the Finance Committee as we do to the Finance Department, and that's ongoing. And then we talk about certain times of the year, strategies with regards to assessments. Excuse me, I don't want to speak for the treasurer, but he gives a light report with regards to his collection activities. We're very fortunate in that we have a former treasurer who is the vice mayor. He understands a lot of that, helps us to assimilate that information to the committee. The frustration I think that some of these folks have is then what happens with that? It's nice to get the information. It's nice to come to a meeting every month, but then is that information coming back to council? And at what point are you using that information to go forward? Gotcha. I do know of another committee in Suffolk. Their council has a very similar finance committee that we do over here in Portsmouth, and they work a little bit differently. One thing we proposed was to start understanding the budget process. This is not, with all due respect, it's not like a private business. It's not like your church or synagogue budget. It is a very different, apparatus to work in. You might have likenesses and things that basically come together with similarities of best practices and whatnot, but a municipal finance is much different than maybe most of these people have in their household budget, civic league budget, or what have you. And I hope council might agree with that, because you've got several components. You have mandates, you have city services that you must provide that private sector may not have that responsibility. So to come full circle, these folks want to help, and they basically said, they don't really feel comfortable knowing what their mission is, and then do we get back on a quarterly basis with regards to what was transpired and what was discussed. In theory, it's put together, but it's not. The practice hasn't met the theory yet. And now you've got a new CFO, and it's a good opportunity to have some sort of retreat or orientation where we go through a budget cycle or some sort of budget schedule or understanding of what can this committee do that would be beneficial to council members in their deliberations and discussions moving forward.
Smooth.
Here in the Commissioner of Revenue mentioned our CFO. Obviously, she came from a different perspective out in California. I guess my question would be, did they have a similar organization, either Municipal Finance Commission or Finance Committee? That would be one thing to see if that was in existence there, and if so, how it was utilized. And also, I would like to check with the other cities locally in the Hampton Roads area to see what role the Finance Committee, if they have one, plays in their organizations.
You prepared to comment at all, or you want to get back with us on it?
I can answer the question about whether there were any finance commissions. In the cities that I worked for, both in California and in Virginia, we did not have such a committee.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good.
Mr. Chandler, you got anything you want to add or to what they're asking or doing? I mean, I see a real importance to this, but anything that you develop and start, you need to set a mission statement and ground rules on what it is you want done, because if you're just waiting for the chair or someone to show up each month with something, I mean, that's not productive to anyone. But also, you don't want to be overworking staff or not working with the council to make sure whatever information you're getting, we're getting, and it's all being synchronized so we all clearly understand it. And maybe quarterly meetings, okay, or at least twice a year. But you got any feedback? Or
No, I've just mentioned, I know we talked a little bit about the history of formation. And remember, with Davenport, the council actually asked your FA, after you disbanded the Municipal Finance Commission, what you could establish. Mm-hmm. And remember, as they talked about the committee, the first focus was your financial policies. So that was kind of the area that was worked upon. Mm-hmm. So that's what you talked about. That was what the formation piece was. And council also made the election at that time to make some modifications to actually establish a committee that would have citizens on it. So the actual committee, its makeup, really took some of the advisement of your FA, but actually then took the shape of, what council ultimately wanted it to be for that period of time to work on the financial policies. I know we'll mention from time to time the FA recommended it. Mm-hmm. Technically, the FA came back and brought recommendations based on council's request, and then from those, council put together the ad hoc committee that got started to this point.
So now, let me ask you, from your experience in working in other municipalities, what has your experience been with finance committees, whether they've had them or not had them, or in the various places that you've been? Can you speak on that?
Some localities would have them. The city of Richmond had one that was actually a committee of one individual. At that time was Councilmember Joe Brooks, who had a background in finance. However, there, of course, no citizens, no other members of council. It was an advisory capacity, worked with the FA to make certain recommendations to council as those requests were made. You've got other models where you've got a finance committee, and that finance committee is probably going to be similar to the Municipal Finance Commission you had before, where it was set up to be advisory. Mm-hmm. Again, advising the council, and then the council or the board or what have you would take into consideration, whatever it needed to. And I guess maybe the traditional set that you might find, if it exists, normally you have certain committees of the elected body. So the council, might have a 2-member finance committee if it's a 5-member board of supervisors. 2 of those council members, or board members in that case, would be designated as the finance committee. You might have a personnel committee, and then they might have certain charges or responsibilities determined by that given governing body.
Now, what was the rationale? I know you two were here, Ms. Rent. What was the rationale with creating this finance committee and incorporating citizens on it?
It came, the hybrid committee came from the council.
Yes.
I can't tell you what everybody was thinking, but that's what they did.
That's what it is.
But the FA thought we needed to have something like this, and I, for one, think it works. There's an opportunity to ask questions. So how is the city spending its money, how is investing its money, and how is doing everything. And one other thing we did from this committee, the auditor started with this committee. That's another one that was approved by this committee. Council took action, took it to the General Assembly, got it approved, and now they're sitting on it. So the committee has a function that, if it wants to, it can do a lot of things. I gave up the city. Let the general. Did you hear from the citizens today? That's what I want to make sure you heard, what their concerns are. I personally think that it can be better, but somebody has to tell us what to do.
What was the rationale with the makeup? I'm trying to get to, go ahead, Bill.
Well, you really have to back up to the Municipal Finance.
And how does it differ
Commission.
from the Municipal Finance Commission?
The Municipal Finance Commission was disbanded because they got frustrated. They didn't have anything to do. And they wanted to, I think, have a larger voice in the adoption of the budget, which obviously that's limited on what they can do. So in that vacuum, when it was disbanded, council at the time felt, and the financial advisor felt that we needed a replacement for that. I think the manager touched base on some of the tasks that they were given at that time, and that's to review our financial policies and even down to the public work sessions on reviewing the budget with the citizens and what have you. What I see here, the committee has come to us with some things that they would like to get involved in, and if you got people that are willing, and each one of them were appointed by a particular council member at that time, but they're willing to work. They gave us a list of things that they would like to get involved with. I think council needs to digest that. I think we need to discuss among ourselves what that involvement should be, and get back together with them. And I heard what you said about maybe meeting quarterly, Mayor. I think you can burn a committee out if they're meeting monthly. They meet monthly, Charles?
Yes.
Yeah, they meet monthly, and if they don't have anything to do other than read a few reports that come every month, they're not taking any decisive action that I'm aware of. So I think if we don't get them involved, I think they're going to have the same fate as the Municipal Finance Commission. And who wants to go to a meeting where your input is not being utilized? So I think we really need to digest what they've given us and come up with a to-do list that perhaps they can get involved with and be our eyes and ears in offering suggestions on the budget. The school situation, I don't know if, obviously, the other piece to that is the school finance department, whether if they had given you the information that we'd gotten. Thankfully, Ms. Swindell saw it, but perhaps y'all would have saw something there early on, and we could have avoided the 12th hour showdown, so to speak. So.
Okay. Yes, sir.
With respect to the two people for the commissioner and the treasurer, it was almost a floor fight at the last minute to get that done. It wasn't action that was taken by the council. It was one or two individuals pushing the fact that if we don't do something, money just rolls off. You don't collect it. Trying to make sure we keep what is assessed collectible. And with respect to the Commissioner of Revenue, he has to go out and look at the people who are in business today who may not be reporting what they collected, what they should pay. In the audit process, he's able to make sure they are then turned over to the treasurer for collection. That, I think, is very important. When there was a former Commissioner of Revenue, we gave him an audit, and he was able to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think we can do the same thing again.
Ms. Randall.
I've watched the process resolve from both ends as the citizens coming from the school and being involved with finance and there as a member on council. I think that the thing is to make sure the information that is disseminated is thoroughly understood for us to get the effective feedback to help us as we move forward with the trajectory, needs, and things that the citizens are bringing forth. I think what has happened with this committee, and frequently it does, you have a lot of expertise, and yet the information that they feel as if they may need to really give us some type of feedback in a tangible way, they really don't feel as if they are probably empowered to do that. And frequently, sometimes, that happens if you are not clear on what your purpose and your mission is for you being in the positions that you are in. It's a lot of expertise there, and I know you all personally. And I know what your capabilities are, just as I know the members on this side of the fence. But I think that there's a component that is missing. You have had an opportunity to look at our financial structure and look at some things. You also have probably within your minds, and not put it in a succinct manner, have some recommendations based on the information that you do have. That is where the think tank come in. You have your financial officers, you have your citizens in their expertise, in their roles, who know something about financing, just like bankers. If you're going to be in that mold, then you make sure you pull the whole circle together. And this is what I'm gleaming that is coming forth from you, as well as what we are getting through the Finance Committee. Nobody wants you to waste your time. That's number one. And the second thing is you are put in those positions because we feel as if you have the knowledge and the openness and communications skills to give advice to us. We are servants of the people. We don't know it all.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Reynolds.
And so this is where you are in your positions.
Yes.
If there's something here we don't have, then give it to us.
Well, I think it's like anything else. The structure of anything is key, and it concerns me that we had just disbanded the municipal finance group and started this group, and it appears that we didn't put any structure in place, and so we're 2 years later back at the same place.
That we were.
And is this yours, or has the whole committee looked at this and would like us to take this under advisement?
Yes.
Yes, as he is, or yes, everybody, okay.
Yes,
Steve Ellis made it, we've all looked at it, and we're all pretty much
Okay.
on the same
Okay.
page.
All right, we'll digest this and maybe come up with some structuring and ground rules, and maybe we need to discuss how it's structured, who's on it, and what whole purpose is, and then how it integrates in, because again, we don't want to waste your time. We appreciate what you're doing. I think it's vital that we have a finance committee and people looking at certain things that, as Ms. Randall said, to upload to the council, and then how that information flows and what type of action and reaction and all of that depends on us and how we want to move forward with that. So if there's not anything else.
A question, Mayor. Feedback from this session to the group. We would like to know when we can expect that.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, because we've had these discussions about the Finance Committee before, and they just
Stand down.
yeah. Then a month goes by, another month goes by, and we take no action. So we need to give the committee. 'Cause I served on the Municipal Finance Committee. You did too. Then served on the so I know the frustrations, because I sat there along with some of them. So we need to give them a time frame when we're going to get back with them and decide amongst ourselves, do we really want a finance committee? And if we do, we need to
What's the
employ
role?
them. Or this time, we need to we don't need to throw a finance committee together just to say we got a committee.
Right.
Because we got too many smart individuals sitting over there who have other things they can do with their time to just have them come every month for.
General, we'll get back with you. My issue is the structure, and I'm concerned about how you're structured and what you're doing. And until I get that answer, I don't know if we can get into all these other things. We want to know how it's structured, what is it we want you to do, and bring back to us, because I think that's what we did. We created a group to say we've got one, and now I remember when I was on it, Mr. Whitehurst, you used to have some thing at the bottom of every page that says everything's on the table, nothing's off the table. And as a person coming from the private sector and business, I always wonder, what does that mean? I mean, do we have rules, or is there something we're going to do, or does that mean anybody can bring anything in here and just throw it around the room? And so, as a private sector guy who runs things totally different, I felt I was out of place. I said, maybe this is a municipal thing. This is what they do. So I tried to sit quietly and hope that it would come together, and luckily I got off of there and it never came together. But
we still haven't answered the gentleman's question.
So,
they can expect something from council.
Yeah, we need to discuss the whole process, and we need to discuss the structure and what we want on that, because we may have, and I'm not saying we did, we may have created something and not what we've created. And if we don't know what we want from you, then it's hard to give you, so, and I wasn't here when they created and the mindset. That's why I asked, how did we come up with this structure? How does every council person appoint someone, and what were the marching orders we gave you? And I can't find any of that.
It's not there.
Form follows function. We need to determine what we want them to do before we look at it. What the roles want to be.
That's right.
That's true.
That's why I say the structure is important. Yes, sir.
May I just offer one point of clarification?
Sure.
This meeting is taped, just like the work sessions, and so the last couple of months, if you're interested in seeing what that discussion has been, you can go online. I think some of these comments came from February, March of the last several meetings, and if you got time, I don't know if you watch them on a regular basis, but if you can't sleep one night and you decide that you want to watch it, it'll give you a good example of what type of meeting, what format the meeting takes, and then you can decide if that's where we're going to continue, or look at the policies. I think that's a good opportunity to start. I think, and I don't know that we've done that. Have we looked at the policies, city funding?
Frankie, February 16th is the videos.
That's the one date, yeah. But have we looked at the policies that he's talking about, the council policies or fund policies? Because I don't remember seeing that.
Haven't seen
That was one thing that we were supposed to be looking at. I don't think we've done that
We haven't seen it.
today.
I mean, I tried to delve into that when we got here, and it was somewhat tossed aside. Policy is important. Structure is important. I would probably be more interested in the council coming in and sitting in on your next meeting, and just to get a taste.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's on tape, but to do that, and then we need to discuss structure and get back with you. So I don't think we can give you a time frame right now, but yes, sir.
Just one point of clarification for public notice. The meetings are taped, and they're available on the city's website, video stream. So it's not on PCTV.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When anybody does.
Right, I'm sorry. That's
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We'll get back with you, and we really appreciate your concerns, and thanks for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all the
Yep.
time.
Thank you.
Did council get a copy of the minutes
Of what?
of this meeting?
What do you mean minutes of this meeting?
Yeah. The finance committee.
That's the meeting.
You get them after each meeting.
everybody's doing great. When I left one of them at PM.
Council gets that.
Yeah, council gets
When they send it out to the members, council gets it.
What else we have? We got the interview.
We have a
coming up.
motion for closed meeting.
I thought you did.
Yeah, we do. Council gets copies.
Appreciate it. Keep it. General. Somebody want to take us into close?
I move we go into closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.1-3711A1 to discuss appointments by the City Council. The subject matter of the meeting is qualification of candidates for boards and commissions. The purpose of the meeting is to permit confidential discussions of candidates.
Second.
Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Evans is absent. Mr. Hurd is absent. Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Randall?
Here.
Mr. Whitehurst?
Yes.
Mayor Wright?
Yes, ma'am.
We are in close. Thank you.
Okay.